Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Karen and I'm happy to have you here. So I talk about things such as how to excel in your career and how to do well in, just basic everyday life things. So I am a manager in the audit profession, and so I tend to have multiple projects running at any given time. And that means that I'm supervising a number of team members. It means I'm reporting to several people. And because we have so many deadlines, it means I have to get so much done at the best quality. So this has led me to researching multiple ways in which I can improve my productivity in such a way that I can meet my goals and be able to have a work-life balance. So I've got some tips that I would like to share with you on useful things that I've found in order to help me be more productive, efficient, and effective. So hopefully these tips will also be able to help you to be more organized and to prioritize your time. So I've got my items listed. So if you do see me looking across, I'm just looking at my notes to just make sure everything flows. So the first thing I've got is your health. Now, I think your health is absolutely important. I think you cannot separate the two. You cannot be productive and yet be sluggish, be sick, be unhealthy. You need to prioritize your health. So this means that you're eating well. This means you're getting enough sleep. This means you're drinking enough water. And it's also important too that you're getting in the exercise. So for example, with myself, I'm working from home. And because I've been working home for a couple of months, it's meant that I ideally would have stopped being as active as I was before. Because when I was working, I was walking to and from work. So I've actually found that using my Fitbit here has helped me to track my steps, to making sure that I get enough exercise throughout the day. So usually I try to aim for 15,000, which is a bit extra, but I think a minimum of 10,000 is good, just to make sure you're getting in that exercise. Number 2 is waking up early. Now, why I think waking up early is important is because you need to be able to give yourself enough time to settle down and to prepare yourself for the day. So this is whether you're working from home or you're going to the office. You just need that time. You cannot say you start work at 9 and you automatically sit at your computer at 9. I think this doesn't give you enough time to kind of get things in order and to do some of the other things that I'm actually going to list below. The next thing is you need a to-do list. Now, I know that there's some people who go, nope, to-do list doesn't work, waste of time, but I promise that for me, to-do lists are essential. I think it's just important to have a to-do list. Now, the idea is that the to-do list shouldn't be so long, right, that it demotivates you because you're like, I cannot get all this done and I never, meet the things on my to-do list. And 2, it shouldn't be so short that you spend your time literally just staring at the sky because you've got so much time available. And what I also think is it's important to also refer to your to-do list throughout the day. So are you checking whether you've met your targets? Are you on track? Do you need to change anything? Because obviously you need to remain, current with what's actually happening. Another thing is what I try to do on my to-do list is have maybe, let's say, 3 key items that I need to achieve in the day. So these are usually the big tasks. So for example, it could be I need to have completed a specific report, writing it, or I need to review a certain document. And these are kind of things that maybe take me an hour or more. So they're kind of big things which if I achieve throughout the day, then it's good. And these are usually quite useful in being able to identify. And not only that, but you need to also identify the smaller little tasks that you can get quite quickly done throughout the day. And that's important. Now, for me personally, I do my to-do list in Excel. And I found this to be so efficient and effective. If I did my to-do list in notebooks, I think I would go through my notepads or notebooks, I think maybe a dozen in a month, because there's that many changes that I make to my list. For some people, maybe, yes, writing it on in a notepad or on a paper works, which is absolutely fine. You know what works for you. But for me, I do it in Excel. And I will share with you, hopefully put a link up there or in the description, to how I do my to-do list in Excel. The next thing, point number 4, is to prioritize. So you've got your whole list of things that you need to do. Now you need to identify what needs to be done first and what can be done later on in the day. And how you do this is identifying when your peak periods in the day are. So some people, you'll see some videos that they say you need to do your things first thing in the morning. But I believe you need to be able to identify when your peak periods are. So in other words, when you're most productive, when you have the most energy in the day. Is it in the morning? Is it in the evening? So like me, I'm more of an early bird. So I tend to be able to get more things done in the morning. And therefore, I need to assign the more, mind draining kind of technical, complicated things for the morning. And then all the other little tasks for the evening. And this allows me to be as productive as possible. The next thing as well is you need to be able to identify what is high priority and low priority based on, for example, deadlines. So, you obviously start with the thing that's going to have the earliest deadline, and then whatever has the latest deadline, you can start later. But at the same time, I believe you also need to consider those things that will take long. So giving an example is, yes, you have this project that's due on Friday, but you have a project that's due next week, Wednesday, but that takes you 2 times more than it does the job that's due on Friday. So do you start off with the Wednesday deadline job just so you can start that going, and then you can start working on the Friday job, probably because it will take you very much less time to do. So you know your tasks, you know what you need to prioritize, and therefore you need to identify that and start with those things first. The next thing is to allocate time. So you've done your to-do list, you know what you need to do throughout the day. Now allocate time to those tasks. Should this thing take an hour, or should it take 15 minutes, or should it take half a day? But be realistic. That is the major thing you need to focus on, is being realistic. If you give yourself too much time, then you're just going to use that time. If you give yourself too little time, it's going to leave you demotivated and drained because you're working so hard to get something done, which is not realistic. Tip number 6 is to delegate. So this is very important because you've listed out your tasks. You should be able to identify tasks which you don't necessarily need to do. And these are tasks which maybe you consider that someone could do them much better. For example, you know you need to do a certain PowerPoint presentation and you're absolutely poor at, formatting the Excel. But you know that, oh yes, there's Tom. He's pretty good at editing PowerPoints. So it would be better for him to do the PowerPoint and for you just to do the actual content of the PowerPoint. Another important thing that you need to be able to note is that on delegating, it should mean that you save time. So if you find yourself spending a lot of time supervising the person you've delegated to, then it kind of defeats the purpose. However, we all do know that we have new people joining in the companies or businesses that we work for, and they need time to be coached and trained. So sometimes you do need to put in that sort of allocate that time to that individual. But overall, delegation should be able to save us time. The next thing, which is point number 7, is to leave room to take breaks. Now, sometimes I know you can get, engrossed in a certain task and you want to get it done. So you spend hours and hours on your machine or doing whatever you're doing just to get it done. But like I mentioned, our health is really important. So making sure that we have time to take breaks. So you know yourself and how long, a time you have to take a break. So maybe, for example, you can choose to do 1 hour slots of working and then taking 15 minutes of a break. This is really important to just take your eyes away from your laptop, stretch, move away, do something else, and then come back and continue. Point number 9 is to get rid of distractions. Now, I absolutely believe this is very important. Distractions can really lead to you not being able to be as productive as possible. Now I've got different types of distractions which I'll go through, and these are things such as notifications. So you've got email notifications popping up on your screen, you've got chat notifications, you've got your phone has notification, endless notifications. You need to be able to get rid of these while you're working. If there's a way for you to put away your phone, for example, keep it out of sight. If you can, stop your email notifications while you're doing something, I find that this is really helpful. Music. Now for me, I've always been a person who can work the best when either there's silence or really soft music. So I know there are people who are actually good at this, who can listen to music with lyrics, who can actually be productive while they're doing this, and that's absolutely fine. For me, I tend to want something that is a bit more quiet. So recently I've started listening to nature sounds at a very low volume, and this has been really helpful in producing a good environment for me to concentrate on my work. The next thing is people. So if you're working, for example, at home, and you live with people, so for example you have your spouse or children, whatever it may be, it's important to communicate to them and let them know that you're taking an hour to get something done, and you'll be with them after that, just so that you have that time to concentrate. If you're working from the office and you've got colleagues who are continuously wanting to chat with you, let them know. Just say, give me an hour, give me 2 hours, give me until lunchtime, and we'll be able to chat, just so that you can get your head into what you need to do and to finish it. The other thing is getting rid of things on your desk or near where you're working. So these are things like, for example, if you have a TV close by, make sure it's switched off and the remote is far away. If you have little objects on your table that don't need to be there, get rid of them. So I have a clean desk policy where I try to make sure that my desk is completely clear, so that I have a clear mind and I can work effectively. Now I believe that as you're working, your brain tries to get rid of, to run away from any task that's straining. So if you're reading something that's complicated or doing a task that is draining, your brain tries to find something to distract it. And so if you have things around you, then you're easily able to stop what you're doing and then focus on that item. So always try to have a clear desk. Point number 10 is knowing that saying no is okay. A lot of people tend to feel like saying no will cause them not to perform well, for example, in their jobs. But this is something you should be able to do if you have a valid reason for it, and obviously saying it politely. So if you know you cannot take on a task and your supervisor or your superior asks you to do so, politely just say, sorry, but I won't be able to manage this because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 projects that need to be completed by the end of this week. Or you can give a tentative answer where, for example, you say, I am happy to complete this, I just need to get this done, and then hopefully once I'm done that, I can do your work, and at least you haven't committed to doing that work. The other thing that I would like to talk about is also, which is point number 11, is using efficient tools and equipment. So does your machine take ages to open documents? Does your keyboard and mouse stick every now and again? Is your chair needing adjustment every single hour? These are things that will absolutely impact on your productivity, because these again can actually act as distractions. So you need to make sure that you have the best tools to use. So if you've got your employer, feel free to actually ask for things or to speak to IT personnel so that those things are fixed. If it's your own business or you are a freelancer, so to say, you also just need to consider if there are better ways to improve such tools and equipment. And then the next one is to be careful about endless calls and meetings. I know, especially ever since I started working from home, I have so many more calls than I did when I was working in the office. And this is expected because we are in the situation we are in. But I think it's important to make sure that you ask yourself whether a call or a meeting is necessary, first of all. Secondly, the time allocated to a meeting or a call, is it appropriate? We tend to be used to, for example, setting meetings for an hour, but really do we need an hour? Because people will spend an hour if they're given an hour. So just consider having less time for a meeting, or probably just resolving the issue via a call, via an email or a chat message, rather than having a call or a meeting. And finally, quality versus perfectionism. I think sometimes, when we're working on tasks, we might fall into the trap of trying to make it perfect, trying to make sure every line is exactly the same length, making sure that we've added a definition for every term, for example. But if that doesn't impact on the quality of what you're doing, consider not doing it at all. And like I mentioned before, even with delegation, is if that task could be done more efficiently by someone else, then delegate it. But don't spend time trying to make something look perfect if it doesn't actually add to the quality or the value of what you're doing. So that's it, everyone. I hope you found these tips useful. If you have any other tips that you'd like to share, please go ahead and put it in the comments, and hopefully that can help myself and others as well. So please feel free to subscribe and to like the video if you enjoyed it, and to share with others as well to help them in their journey to being more productive. So until next time, thank you and bye.